Alright y'all, welcome to today's video. We're not gonna waste none of your time. We already know what y'all are here for. Y'all wanna learn how to wheelie a two-stroke. And by the end of this video, hopefully you'll be a two-stroke demon. First things first, as with wheeling any bike, two-stroke, four-stroke, whatever it is, you need proper clutch control, alright? You need to know where your clutch engage is at. You need to know how to pop the clutch, all of that good stuff. Everyone's clutch is gonna be adjusted differently, so just learn how your clutch is, adjust it to how you like it. That's the main, most important thing is proper clutch control, proper throttle control, and proper brake control. Okay, those are the three most important things you're gonna need to do wheelies today, all right? Especially on a two-stroke, the brake is really gonna be your best friend. You don't really have engine braking on a two-stroke, so if you go too far back and you're not on the brake, you're going back with the bike. Like it's not coming back down. You need to have your foot over the brake at all times. Don't have it out to the side and try to reach for it when you need it. Have your foot over the brake at all times and be ready to get on it when you need to. As far as popping the clutch goes, this is the only thing I had a real issue with when learning to wheelie a two-stroke. Now I came from wheeling a four-stroke, so I already knew how to wheelie. I already had the brake under control. I rode two-strokes before, just never wheelied them, so I had the throttle control. What I really didn't have was the clutch control. The clutch is so much different on a two-stroke versus a four-stroke, and the engagement point and how you pop the clutch on a two-stroke is a lot different. On a four-stroke, you will pull the clutch halfway or almost all the way in, give it a bunch of throttle, rev it up, and just pop the clutch. Give it gas and pop the clutch out at the same time. On a two-stroke, you pull it in just a little bit. So you see where the clutch is at now? I pull it in this much and it's ready to pop. You want to be right at the edge of the band, right before the band hits, but you didn't hit the band yet. Pull the clutch in, give it some throttle right into the band. So you want to pop the clutch right into the band, and the band is going to pick you up, and then you can just ride it back, right? You're riding, holding the throttle right before the band hits. So you got to know where the band hits on your bike. Hold the throttle right before the band hits, pull the clutch in just a little bit, pop the clutch, rip the throttle, not too much, because the band hits kind of crazy sometimes, especially if you're on a bigger board, 125, 250cc two-stroke. The band is going to hit pretty hard, so you don't want to give it too much throttle, but you want to give it enough to get you up there. Don't worry about getting to balance point right away, okay? At first, what you want to worry about is popping the clutch and then getting the bike back down. So pop the clutch, slam the brake on, all right? Pop the clutch, slam the brake on. And you want to do that as many times as you need to until you get it engraved into your brain that you have to hit the brake when you go up, so that you don't even have to think about it anymore. It's got to be second nature to reach for that brake and already be on it and ready to go. You don't have any time to think about it when the band hits harder than you thought it was going to, or you gave it a little too much throttle. You don't have any time to think about hitting the brake. Your foot just has to be there and you have to be ready to hit it, and you have no time to react if your foot is off the brake. All right, so you want to have your foot over the brake at all times. That's really important, especially on these two strokes, okay? Do that a few times. You want to pop it up, bring it down, pop it up, bring it down, and you just want to get used to that. Once you get to the point where you're consistent, you're bringing it down, you're not moving your foot off of the brake, you always have it on the brake, you know to bring it back down, you don't even really have to think about it anymore, it's just second nature, then you can move on to trying to get further back. Now when you're going further back, you don't want to just go as far as you can, okay? When your forks are parallel with the ground, that's how you know you're at balance point. Now with a two-stroke, it's different than a four-stroke. You can't just hold the throttle and just keep it at steady RPMs and just ride and coast it at the balance point. Can't do that on a two-stroke. You got to get it up to the balance point, and then it's going to drop back down a little bit because you have to let go of the throttle a little. A two-stroke, you can't just hold the throttle and keep it steady. You got to chop it a little bit. You don't want to do that on a four-stroke when you're learning, because if you chop it a little, it always has power. It's just going to throw you back. So it's going to be like yin, yin, yin. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to go down, back up, down, back up. And you can kind of keep it at a steady point, but you're still going to have to chop it a little bit just to keep it there, because you can't really hold it on the two-stroke. So once you get up to that balance point, you don't necessarily have to hit the brake yet unless you go past it. If you go past the balance point, tap the brake a little bit, chop it, and then you just want to ride and just try to keep it between, like, your forks are here and your forks being like here. So you want to go ying, 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 you know what I'm saying? You don't want your forks to drop too low, and you don't want them to go too far back, especially when you're first learning. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to be wondering about shifting. If you have all of this down, you can get it up to balance point, you can kind of ride it out. You can't drop back yet, but you can keep it up and it's not dangerous at this point. You're safe and controlled with your wheelies. Now you want to know how to shift. Maybe even you want to know what gear to start in. If you can't do all of that yet, which gear should I learn how to pop it up in? Starting out, if you're on a 125, you want to start out in second gear. Second gear is a perfect gear. You're not going too fast, not going too slow. You won't blow it up. You just want to start in second gear and learn how to pop it up, all right? Once you learn how to pop it up in second gear and you can ride it out a little bit, that'll also teach you how to slow it down. Because if you're going too fast, you're gonna run out of gear and then you're gonna drop it back down or blow it up. You don't wanna blow your bike up, so you're probably gonna let off the throttle, hit the brake, and let it back down. So you're like, well, how do I keep it up? You gotta go further back and ride the brake. Ride the brake real smooth, real easy. The brakes are really touchy on a dirt bike. They're made to stop you very quickly. So the brakes are really touchy. You don't have to slam on it, especially after you've already learned to keep your foot on it and use it. You don't have to slam on it anymore. You just have to be steady on it, and you have to be real smooth with it. You wanna drop back, ride the brake a little bit, let it go back down, chop it up, drop back again, ride the brake a little bit, and then you won't need to shift at all. You can stay in whatever gear that you started in. But once you're ready to start shifting and doing all of that extra stuff, I would say still start in second gear. You want to start off in second gear on a 125 or a 252 stroke. If you're on a YZ85 or a KX85, any 85, I would say start in third gear. Third gear is probably going to be your best friend on any 85 or even a 65. Third gear is going to be your best friend. 125 or 252 stroke, you want to start in second gear. That's going to be your best friend. When you're shifting, you want to bring it down a little bit on a 2-stroke. On a 4-stroke, when you're shifting up, it's easier to drop back, shift it up, let it back down, and kind of catch it as you're going back down. When you're on a 2-stroke and you shift up, that band is going to hit because it's not going to be anything at first when you first shift up. So you're going to be like, oh, and naturally you're just going to give it more throttle because it starts to die a little bit. So you give it more throttle, then boom, the band hits, you weren't ready for it, you fall back, bust your ass, and then you got road rash and you're not riding for another month and a half. So you don't want to do that. You want to drop it down a little bit, then shift up, give it the gas you need, the band will hit, you'll be a little bit more ready for it, and then you can just coast, ride the brake, real smooth. Downshifting on a 2-stroke is basically the same as downshifting on a 4-stroke. So you just want to lean back, drop back, and if you can't drop back, you shouldn't be upshifting or downshifting. It's just not a good idea. You want to get perfect wheelie control before you start trying to shift, because that's when things get dangerous. You're trying to upshift or downshift and you can't even drop back and you don't have proper control over the brake and throttle yet. You don't want to be doing that. That's bad. But if you can drop back, then you drop back, slow down a little bit, and if you're not slowing down fast enough, just drop back a little bit further and then ride the brake a little bit harder, downshift it, and then you tap the brake a little tiny bit harder just to let it back down so you're back near the balance point, and then you just keep chopping it again. And you'll be at the perfect speed, you'll be at the perfect RPM just to keep it up and keep going. So you want to drop back, downshift, and then you can let it back forward a little bit and keep chopping it. So now I'm going to give you guys a few examples on where you want to be at in the band when you pop it up, where you're at in the balance point. Like I said, when your forks are parallel with the ground, that's how you're gonna know you're at balance point. You're not gonna really be able to tell if you're just popping it up. It's gonna feel like you're getting higher than you are, but you're not at balance point until your forks are parallel with the ground. So I'm gonna show you guys where I'm popping the clutch at in the band, how much I'm pulling the clutch in, and then where you wanna be at before you drop it back down a little bit to start chopping it a little, all right? And you don't wanna try to chop it super fast like you see people doing all over the internet or all over your city or whatever. You don't want to chop it super fast at first because the band's going to hit unexpectedly. It's going to toss you back and you're not going to be ready for it. So you just want to bop, bop, bop. It's got to be a smooth chop so that you can get the motion down first, going down and back up before you start really trying to bop, 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 bop. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to do that right off the bat. But I'm gonna kick this John. I'm gonna ride past the camera. You guys can see the clutch, and you'll be able to hear where I'm at in the band to gauge when I'm popping the clutch. So I'm gonna be in second gear, popping it up. I'm gonna pop the clutch, and I'm gonna go back, and I'm not gonna touch the brake until I get to balance point. that was a perfect example of being at the wrong spot in the balance point when you downshift. I downshifted too early, and when I hit the bend as soon as I downshifted, and it threw me back. Luckily, I had the brake engraved in the back of my head, so I know to hit the brake. But that's what I'm saying is, don't shift if you don't have the brake down. If you don't have the brake down and you try to shift, it's not going to go well for you. I'm going to do one more downshift for you guys coming back this way. Alright y'all, so thank you for watching my how to wheelie a two-stroke. If you guys have any friends that are trying to learn how to wheelie and they have a two-stroke, send them this video. If they're trying to wheelie and they have a four-stroke, send them this video. I'll card it up in the corner. I also made a how to wheelie on a four-stroke. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this guys helped you learn how to wheelie. And if it did, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one.